Welcome back to Light Guided. Lisa here to do the monthly energy reading for June. And this month I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a pick a card because there are 4 groups of you that are represented in the collective energy of those of you that watch these videos. So each of these stacks represents a different resonance, a different group, and you can use your intuition to pick the stack that most resonates with you. We have stack number 1 is blue calcite. Stack number 2 is tourmaline, sorry, black tourmaline. Took me a minute, I thought it was topaz for just a second. Stack number 3 is purple fluorite, and stack number 4 is called Prehnite. So take a moment to check in and see which one resonates with you the most, and we will go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back to stack number 1. For those of you that chose blue calcite, we're going to go ahead and take a look at your spirit guide. We're going to look at what messages they'd like you to know right now. Something that they've been trying to communicate with you for some time, but that you have that you really haven't been paying attention to. We're going to look at any major challenges that you're dealing with right now, your strengths and how you're getting through that. Also, a healing stone for the month of June, and then any final guidance from Spirit. So with that, blue calcite folks, let's go ahead and begin. Your spirit guide, the spirit energy that wants to come forward here most for you, is related to the energy of winter. And this is all about taking care of your needs. And so for those of you that this stack resonated for, the energy around this is all about not only taking care of your physical needs, your emotional and mental needs, your spiritual needs, but this is also about that inward, turning inward to really love and nourish and nurture yourself. And I do feel this energy very strongly for this group, that this is not about looking outward to find out, who can take care of you or who's going to give you what you need to meet your needs. This is totally about relying on yourself. And there's something in this energy about kind of turning inward. I get the impression of kind of that caterpillar within the chrysalis before it becomes the butterfly. There's just this incredible deep need for rest and rejuvenation. So your spirit guides really want you to be focused on that inside place, that time of really being connected to your inner world. Something they'd like you to know right now is, wow, what a beautiful card. You can see here that this is the energy of spirit has its hand over your heart, and there's a blossoming that's happening here, as well as a transformation. So this, for some of you, may be a transformation in love. It may also be a transformation of going from, maybe more negative self-thoughts to more positive self-thoughts. And what they want you to know right now, this is around the energy of seek. The power of spirit exists in all things. Everything is made of energy, and every single thing in your physical world contains a fragment of spirit, including you. We are all one with spirit and always will be connected to one another. So Spirit wants you to know that everything that you're going through right now, if you are going through transformation of the heart, for one, there's kind of a positive message here that, things will improve. If you've been struggling in any way, things are on the way to improve. But most importantly, Spirit wants you to know that Spirit exists in all things. So whether you're struggling or you're happy or whatever that is for you, Spirit is in all of it. Okay, and Spirit has some messages for you, something they've been trying to communicate with you for quite some time, that maybe you haven't been ready to hear, or you haven't quite been paying attention. So let me take a look at these. So the first energy is around the Grand Symphony. Spirit's been trying to communicate with you that there is a perfect order to your life. There's a perfect order to all of the experiences that you're having. And whether you judge those experiences as good or bad or positive or negative, Spirit is orchestrating all of this. There is a divine order to everything that's happening in your life. And what Spirit would like to communicate with you here is that part of the path that you're on, especially in this month of June, is learning to come into alignment with all the things that are happening in your life and finding peace within, knowing that Spirit is part of all of it, kind of what we were talking about here. So in this energy, there is a way of moving out of the head space and into the heart space so that you're able to feel the divinity within your life, no matter what the circumstances are. So that's a message that Spirit's been trying to communicate with you. They want you to know that even if you aren't conscious of what is being created on your behalf or what you're creating, they want you to know that there's beautiful abundance happening in your life and beautiful creation. And part of this time in June is about getting more attuned to the creation that's around you. It's getting more attuned to being a co-creator in your life. In other words, when we're conscious of the energy of Spirit within all things, we get to kind of have a playful energy with that, and we get to begin to recognize that we have a relationship to all of these different aspects of our lives. And it's not just something that's happening to us or because of us or because of someone else, but that in fact we are a co-creator. And in that we can find a sense of power and a sense of well-being to create and cultivate a life that's truly our own, that's truly about expressing our inner gifts, and that's satisfying and rewarding. And finally, Spirit has been trying to let you know that two messages here. They're giving me the strong impression about your own inner wisdom, and that the journey that you're on is really about cultivating this inner wisdom. And for some of you, this pathway, this journey of inner wisdom is very much about partnership and about connecting with people that help you along the way. And they're saying to me that sometimes that help along the way feels very loving, and we can immediately recognize and identify, oh, there's a loving person, and because that person's loving, I'm able to recognize that they're here to help me on my journey. But just as this message has been unfolding this whole time, same message here where they're saying sometimes there's people on our journey who we don't automatically think, wow, thanks for that great lesson, right? Because they're painful lessons or difficult situations. And so they want you to know that there are people divinely placed in your life to help your soul grow and to help you move through the experience of life in the deepest way, in the most profound and powerful way. And these people that have come into your life, again, some that have caused pain or have triggered pain, and some that have been very loving, but all along the way, it's about you developing this wisdom. So let's take a look at some of the major challenges that you've had, or that you're having, particularly as June approaches. So a major challenge is around the energy of regret. I know that I cannot change the past. So some of you may still be struggling with some of these situations that have happened in the recent past, in the last 3 to 6 months, where maybe a change happened in your life. Maybe you feel responsible for that change, or maybe you're blaming someone else for that change. And there's part of you that's kind of holding on to that energy that you want to you know, you wish that it were different. But again, the message that Spirit's bringing forward here is really about embracing all of it, recognizing that it's all part of your journey. And the more you're able to recognize, you know, again, for lack of a better way of saying it, but the good, the bad, and the ugly, like the more you can embrace all of those parts of your life experience, you can alleviate yourself from this feeling of regret and move into the energy of this wisdom, co-creation, and being in harmony with your own life experience. You know, in the month of June, they are really wanting to encourage you to try to be in connection with, you know, the humorous side of life, trying to recognize the dance and to be humorous. And they're saying very specifically, this is not about laughing off difficult situations or pretending that difficult situations haven't hurt you or anything like that. But this is very much about, again, being in the perspective of there's a beautiful symphony of life. There's a beautiful harmonious symphony of life. And when we recognize that it's all part of the grand picture of our experience, we can have a little humor. We can bring in a little lightness to the situation. So whatever you can do to bring some lightness into your life in the month of June, they're saying that will be really helpful for you. And finally, this energy of courage. Some of you have been feeling, or for the month of June, there's a lot of, you know, fear and anxiety, a sense that it's hard to know how to move forward with confidence. And they're saying, like, you don't have to feel confident in order to move forward. Sometimes it's just a matter of making the decision that you're going to move forward with something. And in other words, do it anyway. You know, do it even if you are afraid. So let's take a look at what's supporting you in the month of June. I feel like these all need to be out here. Let me reorganize these. All right, how's that? All right, so now let's take a look at what's supporting you in the month of June. This is really your strength. This is trust. I was just talking with a friend today about the energy of trust, the energy of surrendering, which is really what this reading is all about. This particular group of you, this is all about surrendering, releasing the need for control, surrendering into the what is of the life that you have, moving into that empowered place of being a co-creator. And part of that process takes a great deal of trust. We have to be willing to let go. We have to be willing to step into that with a sense of, it is a sense of willingness to just allow it to unfold without needing to control it. So this is your superpower for the month of June. Your superpower for the month of June is the word trust, practicing trust. Your healing stone for the month is stibnite. Stibnite. I'm not familiar with this particular stone, but you can check it out, look it up, and see what you find. But in general, it's talking about conflict here. So I think this is about not being afraid to be in a space of conflict. If you have internal conflict or conflict with another, that sometimes those conflicts are helping, again, to increase our wisdom. So I'm not suggesting that you seek out conflict, but I am suggesting that if conflict arises, don't avoid conflict. So if there's something happening that needs attention, don't intentionally avoid conflict because you're worried or anxious about it. All right, and then finally, your advice card. Wow. And I shuffled all these off camera. I did not look at any of the cards before this reading. So this is interesting that the final advice or guidance card here is, how can I surrender even more into this moment? Which again is part of what we've been talking about here. So it is essential to have clear, strong intentions of what we desire, but it's equally important for us to detach from the outcome. It's time to surrender. Let the universe have some breathing room to work. Let go of the wheel and trust so deeply that your trust turns into gratitude for what you cannot see yet, but you know is coming. Today's soul action, know this so deeply that your soul vibrates. You are not alone. Your life has purpose, and the more you surrender, the more God or Spirit can produce miracles in your life. Today's mantra, I surrender, I accept all that I cannot change, I release the outcome, and I joyfully trust the process. Beautiful. Thank you. Take good care until I see you next time. Welcome, group 2. Those of you that picked black tourmaline, let's go ahead and take a look at your spirit guide and what messages Spirit has for you for the month of June. So first, we have this beautiful fox spirit. Trust your talents in changing times. Ooh. So yeah, I feel like this is for many of you in this particular group who chose stack 2. This is all about tuning into and trusting the new thoughts and experiences that are emerging for you in this period. Some of you may be having major shifts and changes. For example, maybe you worked in a corporate job and now you want to move into a healing, doing some kind of healing work or something like that. So for many of you, this is, there's a major change coming up. And Spirit wants you to be in connection with that. Allow your thoughts, dreams, and the intuition that you're feeling in your heart to be your guide through this changing time. And they are saying very clearly in this moment, like, this is not about turning your life upside down, but it is about honoring this part of yourself that's awakening, this part of yourself that you're becoming attuned to. And the more you tune into this, the more you listen to this inner calling and this inner voice, the more grounded you'll feel, the more centered you'll feel, and it's like the richer life becomes. It's like you become more wholly yourself. You become more fully you. What a beautiful energy. So a message that Spirit would like you to have right now, something they want you to know right in this moment, is to listen. You have to be willing to listen if you want to really understand someone. Now is not the time to be offering advice, but to be a compassionate listener. To listen fully and intently means to pay attention, not to just what's being said, but to what lies beneath the words. So several messages here. Again, for some of you who are stepping into this new energy, there's new talents emerging. Some of you are going to start to recognize that you're more empathic or psychic than you realized. And so you'll be listening with that psychic or empathic ear, and you'll be hearing things in a new way. This is also about listening to yourself, listening to the inner calling, listening to your own intuition, listening to Spirit. Feeling through what you're being guided into. And then even still, again, just being a good listener, being a present listener. For some of you, there's a sense here that as you're going through this change and you're connecting in with these deeper parts of yourself, it's creating a little bit of inner chaos for you. And because of that, it's been harder to be a space of listening for other people. And so maybe, your family, your kids are trying to get your attention, your spouse is trying to get your attention, your parents, your siblings, whatever that is for you, people at work are trying to connect with you, but it's like you're not fully present because you're paying attention to this inner part of your world, which is good, and they want you to do that, but they also want you to be a place of listening because there's important messages that are coming through for you from people around you. And if you're not able to be present and listening to them, there may be some things that you miss. Okay? So now your spirit guides have been trying to communicate something with you for quite some time, and it's something that you haven't been really attuned to. So they want you to attune to this more in the month of June. And part of that message is around that body-soul connection, especially for those of you that are stepping into this more intuitive, empathic time. They want you to be really mindful about taking care of your body. You may be experiencing more fatigue than usual. Your dietary needs may be changing as your energy is evolving and ascending, as your vibration gets higher. Foods that you may have been able to eat, 6 months ago no longer, fuel your body. They trigger other issues. So they want you to be mindful about that. There's something else here. One moment, please. They want you to remember that you're really part of something much bigger, that even though you're in a body on this planet, your soul is connected to something much bigger, and your soul cannot be contained within the body. Your soul has an expression through the body, but it cannot be contained in the body. So in other words, you're multidimensional even now. They also want me to mention something here about Akashic records. So if you've been thinking about either getting an Akashic record reading or learning to read Akashic records, they're supporting that you pursue that. We have the energy of time machine. They want you to begin to challenge your perception of time, and it's connected to this same kind of message around your body. Although your soul is in your body, or your body is in your soul maybe, but although that's happening, you're multidimensional, as I said. So in terms of time, they want you to recognize that you energetically, that you span across all space and time. And there's a message in that for you. There's something important in this for you, because when we only identify with ourselves as bodies, as human beings, we miss the opportunity to fully tap into and connect with the energy and power of the collective, the resources that are available to us energetically and spiritually that allow us to have a more fulfilling life, to understand life more deeply. So they, and also very specifically, they're saying, if you're counting down the clock on something, if you're feeling pressed for time, if you're feeling like, I'm running out of time to make this decision, I have to, do X, Y, Z now because, there's a timeline. You're perceiving that experience through the physical and 3D perspective. And again, they want to help you see your life and your experience multidimensionally across time and space, because it frees you up when you're able to be in that perspective. It frees you up to really fully be present in the here and now when you're not chasing down time, so to speak, right? It takes a lot of energy and a lot of focus when we are, trying to move something or make something happen within a certain period of time. And finally, a very powerful energy, and particularly powerful in relationship to time as well. And this is the energy of the power of purpose. So through the month of June, they're really wanting you particularly to start honing in a very intentional way. They want you to start honing in your, I want to say focus. It's a kind of focus, but it's more than that. This is not about setting a goal. This is not about achieving something like, okay, I'm going to set a goal and then I'm going to achieve that. This is a much deeper, well, deeper and broader at the same time. This is about setting the energy of your vibration, setting the energy of your soul, setting the overall intention of your life experience, and harmonizing or coming into alignment with that intention at a soul level. So for some of you, this will make sense. For others of you, you may not have this skill yet. But for those of you that meditate and you're able to meditate on spirit, on your energetic connection with spirit, when you're in that space, you can begin to set the vibration so that there's an alignment between you and that spiritual realm, which is, again, it's a frequency, it's a vibration, but it's also kind of an intention. But the intention is happening within your energetic body, not within your brain, okay? So this is not about setting a goal. This is about embodying an energy, embodying an intention. And for those of you that aren't meditating or don't have that connection quite yet with that skill set, this is a time to begin practicing that, whether you do meditation or something else. But they want you to begin to embody and manifest and connect in with the intention of your soul's vibration, the intention of the frequency that you want to vibrate at. So, for example, maybe you want to vibrate at the intention of peace. So this is about bringing that vibration in and embodying that vibration and allowing it to circulate through you, okay? So powerful messages for you all from Spirit this month. Let's take a look at what might be challenging you in the month of June. For some of you, you're going to be really challenged by, being hung up in the need to forgive. And this can go a lot of different ways. For some of you, you're hanging on to some resentment that's blocking some of your ability to be connected to this higher spiritual energy. For others of you, you'll be actively working on forgiveness in the month of June. You'll be actively seeking ways to forgive the situations in the past or even current situations, forgiving people, forgiving yourself, being in an energy of forgiveness. And in some kind of way, when I talked about listening and I talked about really listening deeply to yourself, this energy vibrates for me in a very similar way. This, stepping into relationship with ourselves, being really loving with ourselves, is the willingness to be gentle with where we are, the willingness to forgive ourselves for our foibles, and to recognize that even though we are spiritual beings, we are in the human experience. And with that comes a lot of things that can be challenging. So Spirit would really like you to focus on this energy of forgiveness in the month of June. Challenges also are perseverance. This is, again, a little bit too much about being in the mind, being in the head, and not being in that powerful intention of Spirit, but being, too much in your thoughts, too much in the goals, too much in, trying to achieve things. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with that necessarily, it is just a way that we use our energy. They'd like you to be shifting your energy toward this more spirit intention, this spirit focus, and stepping out of the doing mind and into the being place of spirit. Another challenge in the month of June for some of you, issues around self-esteem might pop up this month. This could be people in your world challenging you, challenging your, it could be everything from like challenging the work that you're doing to challenging these new talents that are emerging. And if you talk to people in your life about these things that are happening within you, you may find sometimes people aren't really receptive to that, or they don't really understand that. And you might you might allow that to impact how you're feeling about yourself. And so Spirit just wants to remind you that, you know, whatever's happening within you, this is about the journey for the month of June is really about you listening into your own intuition and following your own inner guidance. One of the strengths that's really supporting you in the month of June, what a beautiful energy. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. This energy of freedom. You are moving, you're sort of in this transitional phase or this evolving phase into the energy of freedom. And freedom can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For some of us, it just looks like, you know, financial freedom, or, you know, maybe freedom from having to work a certain kind of job or whatever. But this is, for many of you, this is primarily around the freedom to be in full self-expression, the freedom to be attuned and aligned with Spirit in a way that feels fulfilling to you. And this is also the freedom to begin to practice new skills, those new talents and things that are coming up for you. This is a time to begin to step into that. And in that, as you take that leap forward, you'll begin to feel that greater sense of freedom. Again, no matter what's happening around you, what's going to happen in you is a sense of freedom. And this inner sense of freedom is going to be like a guide. It's going to be like a lighthouse for you. So how beautiful is that? And then Spirit offered the healing stone of kyanite, which is the energy of letting go. That came up somewhere here in your reading. So blue kyanite, a very powerful stone. This is a stone that really supports psychic development, astral travel, the connection with spirit world, and the connection really with our own inner intuition. So what a beautiful energy to be part of this reading for you. And then finally, Spirit has final guidance for you. Do I know all of my strengths, and am I using them? We all have superpowers, but it's up to us to uncover them. When we live and lead with our strengths, we are able to show up in our zone of genius. This inspires others to do the same. Today's soul action, ask yourself, how can I use one of my soul's gifts today to contribute to this open and ready world? Ooh, that gives me kind of goosebumps. And I don't know if, for me, this triggers that energy of freedom when I think about how to contribute to this open and ready world. There's a sense of great freedom that comes with that. Beautiful reading. All right, my dears, we will see you next month. Thank you so much. Hello, group number 3 with purple fluorite. Wonderful to be here with you today. So let's go ahead and take a look at, we're going to look at the energy that is surrounding you for the month of June and kind of what guide is here for you in the month of June. And we're also going to look at any messages that they want to offer you now, anything they've been trying to communicate with you for a while, major challenges, what strengths are showing up for you, what's your healing stone for the month of June, and finally, what guidance does Spirit have for you? Oh, what a beautiful energy. So this is the guide for the month of June. This is the energy of, it's called Trader, exchange energy to create abundance. Whew, there's a lot of beautiful emotional energy around this card, around this image. There's a humility here. There's a willingness to give and receive. There is an absolute availability to the recognition that abundance is all around you. And your only role in that is to be in a state of receptivity and allowing that receptivity to then naturally be reciprocal, right? So there's this circulation, the circulation of abundance here in the month of June. So what a beautiful guiding energy for this group. Beautiful guiding energy. And in this moment, Spirit has a message for you, and this is what Spirit would like to share with you right now. Let go. Once you let go of the outcome, you'll be able to release all the emotional constraints that have held you back in the past. Trust in the higher good and guidance of Spirit, as we have only your best intentions at heart, and will do everything in our power to protect you. So if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form to be in this energy of exchange, of this circulation of abundance, this flow, Spirit is just reminding you that it's okay to let go and just, be in that natural flow. It's like being on a river in a raft, and the river is moving and you can't control where the raft is going. But the more you resist, the more difficult the ride becomes. So there's something in this about, let go of trying to make the raft go the direction that you want it to go, and let the river take you in the natural direction that it's flowing. And you'll arrive there safely. Beautiful message. All right, now Spirit's been trying to communicate a message to you for some time, and particularly in the month of June. They have something they really want you to understand here. Give me just a moment to tune into this message for you. We have opening to discovery. And again, very similar to this energy of letting go, Spirit is really wanting to remind you, first of all, that you hold the key to your own. They're saying abundance. You hold the key to your own abundance. And they're also saying, abundance is not about money. It's so much more. But regardless, you hold the key to this abundance. You hold the key to being in this energy of circulation. And for some of you, there's a little bit of a hesitation to step into this. There's a little bit of fear to step into this. And part of it is that there's a sense of feeling, it's almost like the power that a river has when you're going down it, like you're afraid of that power. There's some fear about the power, not the fear of the unknown, but the fear of the power of this. Is it going to overpower me? Is it going to throw my life into a train wreck? Is this going to be a time when my life is turned over? So they're just saying that you hold the key, you get to make the pace, but do your best in the month of June to really be open and available to discover, because there's so much more here for you. There's so much more in this energy of abundance than you're allowing into your life right now. And it's like right at the edge of your life. It's like right there. It's like right there. And it's just waiting to burst forward. Waiting to burst forward. Many of you have been having a lot of, you've been setting a lot of intentions. You've been working on manifesting a lot of things. These energies are very connected. On the one hand, as you're setting these intentions and manifesting this energy, or focusing on what you want to manifest, there's part of you that's afraid to step through the door. So it's like you've set out the call to Spirit, and you said, hey, Spirit, here's this manifestation of this intention, but you're not seeing it come into form into your life yet. And it's partly because you're hanging on, that you think you know what it's supposed to look like. So you're not seeing when it arrives, you're not making the connection that this is what you asked for. These are the things that you're manifesting. And also, there's something in here about the belief of what you deserve. There's something in here about the belief of what you deserve. So even though you're trying to manifest these amazing, beautiful things in your life, there's still part of you that feels a little bit like you're not quite ready to receive them. Maybe you don't deserve them. And so that's part of the message they really want you to hear, and they want you to work on this in the month of June, is being open and available to all that Spirit is bringing forward to you. Because remember, there is abundance around us at all times, and our work is to be available to that abundance, not to try to direct it or guide it or find it or seek it, but to be available to the abundance that's already there. And then we have this beautiful energy of perfect harmony. Some of you have been trying to manifest a love partner, a soulmate. And they're giving me this very clear impression for those of you that are trying to manifest a soulmate or a love partner in some way, that they want you to be focused on being in harmony with yourself. In other words, and they're teasing, it's like not to be trite, but they're saying like be the person that you want the other person to be, right? So if you want a person who has integrity, if you want a person who's loving, who's honest, who's thoughtful, be all of those things and not just act that way, right? But there's part of that, right, where we're always practicing learning and growing. So you want to be a person of integrity by being in integrity, but you also want to begin to find that integrity within so that you're acting from the heart and being in the energy of integrity and not just in the thought of being in integrity, if that makes sense, because there's a difference in that energy. Sometimes we think that we have to be honest about something, but when we're in our heads about it, we're not always manifesting the actual energy itself, if that makes sense. All right, my dears. So now let's take a look at what's challenging. What are some of the major challenges for you in the month of June? Oh boy. One is, oh wow, I'm just noticing all of these are all the third eye chakra and that psychic energy. So how interesting. There may be some of you that are picking up on the worry of the world, maybe psychically, so that may be playing a role here for you. Nonetheless, worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change in outcomes. They really want you to pay attention to things that you're worried about, and it connects right into this energy here. When I'm talking about manifesting and setting your intention, if you set the intention and then you worry about it showing up, or you obsess about it showing up and you're waiting, that's an energy of attachment. That's an energy of worry, and it doesn't allow. It's not a space of being able to receive that abundance, right? So the worry itself creates that barrier energetically. So if you have places where you're holding on or you're having worry, they want you to pay attention to that in the month of June and start working through that. They also want you to work on trust. And this is similar here, where they're really saying like trust your inner voice for one, trust yourself, trust your inner guidance, but also trust spirit. Trust that spirit has your highest good. Always, they're always here to support our highest good. And again, the overarching message of your reading is to be available to the abundance that's already present. So being in an energy of trust is knowing that that abundance is available for you, and just allowing that to show up and paying attention to it, being open to discovery. And finally, we have the energy of acceptance. So again, similar energy here. This says, I'm learning to accept the things I cannot change. So there are some things that you've been hanging on to, and particularly in the month of June, that are really going to benefit you if you're able to navigate that journey to be in an energy of acceptance. It's similar to trust, a little different, but in the same family as trust, right? Acceptance. And they want to be clear here. This is not about throwing up your hands and being apathetic, right? About what's happening or the things that you're working on coming into acceptance with. But this is about that loving energy. The loving energy that we step into a situation to say, well, I'm going to bring love into this difficult situation, and I'm going to accept it as it is. In other words, not to be in a space or an energy of resistance. So when we're not in acceptance, what we're doing is we're fighting against the what isness of life, where something has happened and we push back on it, and we create a ton of resistance and energetic kind of stagnation ultimately. So the energy of acceptance, again, is being in this space of receptivity, of being open, particularly here this month of June, being open to the abundance that already is in your life. And this is also about accepting the parts of yourself that you're sometimes disappointed in. Like maybe there's something about your character or the way you do things, and you criticize yourself, or you resist that part of yourself, rather than just acknowledging, wow, that's kind of who I am right now. And that's not to say that if we have bad habits or whatever, that we're not going to work on them. But it is to say that we don't have to beat ourselves up in the process, that we can lovingly, acknowledge certain characteristics about ourselves. And the same goes for how we feel about other people. And there's this old saying, it's pretty common, but I came across this recently in a book I was reading, and it really stood out to me, that when I see something in someone else that triggers that judgment, triggers that anger, upsetness, judgment, whatever, usually it's something about myself that I'm struggling to accept. So I've been working on that myself, and I think that's kind of the message here that Spirit is talking about. So just being in an energy of noticing where you are not accepting other people, and is that reflecting on something that you need to practice accepting in yourself. Your strength in the month of June is around leadership. Wow, that's a powerful card. This is hold on one second. They're giving me a lot of messages here on this particular card. Let me see if I can hone in. So they're giving me this impression of leadership in terms of following your inner light, allowing yourself to be led by Spirit in a direction that requires trust, right? Letting go of worry. It requires acceptance. It's this kind of surrendering into the life of abundance, this life of I want to say richness, but not to say that that's about money, right? But this life of richness, creativity, abundance, joy, love, all of these things. So being led into that by your intuition, by way of letting go, by way of freeing yourself from the worry, etc. The other message here is about you being in a position of leadership. So if it feels like you have an opportunity to step into a situation where people are either saying, hey, you need to take the lead here because we don't know what you're doing, and so we don't know what we're doing, so we're putting this on you and you have to figure it out. And so there's this kind of surprise where you're suddenly being called into leadership, and there's part of you that's kind of like, oh, this is really cool, and there's a part of you that's like, wow, this is really scary. There's something about that opportunity here that supports you in opening up to this discovery energy. There's something in the experience of having to take leadership around a particular situation, whether it's in a relationship or in work or whatever it is. And so through that experience, some of the lessons and some of the information that's come through in your reading, through that experience, some of that will come more to light for you. And then finally, there's an energy here about allowing yourself to be led by Spirit. I feel like that message came up. Maybe I'm saying the same thing, but there's just another layer here of being led by your intuition. That's what it is, being led by your intuition. allowing your intuition to really guide you. And we have all of this energy of intuition here. There's all of this opportunity to connect in with that part of yourself. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. And the healing stone for you for the month of June is labradorite. This is the energy of taking action. It's a very divine masculine energy. And this is very interesting. I think kind of connected to leadership. There's something here. It's an interesting dynamic. Being in a space of receptivity, of recognizing the abundance of all that is, and being open and available to that. It's the opposite of taking action, right? And yet there's this energy of the labradorite energy is about taking action. And so what I think this is that you may have been in an energy of taking action, like a divine masculine energy, for quite some time. And so the healing energy here is really about freeing yourself from having to be in that mental state of action and activity, okay? And finally, Spirit has this guidance for you. Am I clear on what my soul really wants? Take out the shoulds and the limitations. Get out of your head. It just came up. And pay attention to your heart's desires instead. If you knew it was impossible to fail, what would you do? Wherever you go, go with all your heart. And today's soul action is ask yourself what it is that your soul really wants. What does your heart crave? Then take one step in that direction. Wow. Wow, very powerful. All right, my friends, thank you so much. Until we meet again, take good care. All right, for those of you that picked the green, the Prehnite, one of my favorite stones, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at messages for you from Spirit for the month of June. And we're going to look at kind of what's the guiding energy for June. What messages does your spirit guides have for you right now in this moment? But also, what do they really want you to know moving forward? And, you know, what have they've been trying to communicate with you throughout the month of June? Also, we're going to look at any major challenges that are coming up, as well as what supports you, what strengths are coming forward in this month of June, what's your healing stone for June, and then finally, any guidance, final guidance that Spirit has for you. So let's begin. This is the overarching energy for June, the guide, if you will, the Spirit guide of June. This is the guide of Elder. Move beyond ancestral patterns. So I get two very distinct messages here. One message in particular is about wow. Okay, so one message is here about, like I said, you know, moving beyond these ancestral patterns. So during the month of June, many of you might be kind of aware, like becoming acutely aware of how you're doing your life different than perhaps your parents or your grandparents. You're breaking out of patterns. You're breaking out of the confines of those systems and beginning to live life a little differently, or beginning to see life a little differently. There's this really unusual energy that's coming through here that's got me kind of a little speechless, actually. This energy of the ancestors. So I feel like for some of you, and this may actually only be for one or two of you, but it's very powerful. There's something in this about digging into your ancestry, digging into your family history, but also looking at not just family history like, you know, oh, my grandfather was a fisherman or whatever, but this is about digging into this more spiritual family history. So for some of you, these are not necessarily things that you're going to be able to find on the internet, right? This is going to be an intuitive inner journey. So they're giving me this impression of like a sojourn, an emotional, mental, spiritual sojourn within that's going to allow you to tap into this and this quote unquote ancestry, this this energy within your. They're showing it to me like there's an alchemy, like this deep alchemy within your particular family lineage. So again, that's only for one or two of you. It's a very specific message. For most of you, this is going to be about moving beyond patterns of your family. But again, for some of you, this is about going deeper into that lineage. And they're you know, things like you may come from a family where there were medicine men or women, where there were psychics, where there were mediums, where there were people who, you know, for all intents and purposes, they were very connected to the earth and the land, so more indigenous. And so there's an energy there for some of you that they want you to tap into in the month of June. Really, really lovely. So right now, the message that your spirit guides have for you is to let you know that you're not alone. Spirit is saying, we're here for you. We never left. Through all the sadness and loneliness, however, you cannot sense us near you or feel how much love we are sending you. We are your family, friends, and guides. You never walk alone. We walk right beside you. So let's take a look at what messages Spirit wants you to hear for the month of June, and, you know, areas that you might focus on more. Interesting. Okay, so we have quieting the mind. Again, this kind of connects back to those of you that are on that inward sojourn, quieting the mind, finding all those places within that are connected to your ancestry, that are connected to spirit, that are connected to this broader spiritual journey that you're on. For others of you, this is about self-care. This is about creating ways to really be not quite nurturing, but ways to take care of your energy, ways to take care of yourself. They're giving me the impression of like stepping out of the busyness of life. So if in your area now that things are kind of picking up and, you know, the pandemic is lifting, you know, the restrictions are lifting a little bit, some of you may be stepping right back into life, and they're giving me the impression of like, you know, don't be too much in a hurry to step right back into life. Like, take this time to allow yourself to continue to be quiet in the mind, to continue to explore your inner world. We also have a powerful move. A couple different messages here. They're saying, you know, for some of you, this time in June is, okay, so some of you have a certain behavior or a certain pattern. This is not going to resonate for everyone, but there are some of you that have been using, not necessarily, well, consciously or unconsciously, some of you have been kind of manipulative with other people in your life. And let me explain that more. So if you are feeling afraid, if something's triggered you and you're feeling afraid, you may automatically move into an energy of manipulation and trying to overpower a situation without really realizing that you're doing that. So if that resonates for you, Spirit wants you to work on this pattern. They want you to begin, and that's part of this quieting the mind, they want you to begin to learn how to have that sense of inner well-being, that sense of inner safety, so that when you get triggered, you're not falling into that behavior, because that behavior is low vibration and it's causing other problems and challenges in your life, okay? It's causing other issues in your life. And they want to see you be successful, right? They want to see you overcome that issue so that you're more open and available to the life that you want to live. And they do give me the impression there's a little sadness here. There's a little bit of grief attached to that. So let's see what else. And for others of you, this is an energy, it kind of goes back again to that tapping into the lineage, that spiritual lineage, the spiritual history of your soul. And hold on one moment, please. Yeah, there's something very deep happening here. For just a few of you, there's something very, very deep happening here that's around this opening into the energy around this, the ancestral energy. And there's something about that even though you're not aware of it now, as you begin to step into that, there's something that's going to shift. It's like going to click into place. It's like the key opening the lock, click. And as that clicks, it's like something in you shifts. It's almost like overnight, there's this dramatic awareness that happens, this dramatic insight that you have that be so powerful for you that it changes the way you see the world and your life forever. It's just going to change it forever. It's fascinating. And then finally, we have this energy of storyteller. And this pertains to most people in this group. They are telling me for some of you, this is, for those of you that I described having some experience of at times being manipulative when you're afraid, they want you to, one way to work through that is to be writing down, noticing your triggers, noticing what's setting you off, noticing what you're struggling with, and writing that down. For others of you, this is about, it is about writing through. So for some of you, there's going to be almost a channeling that happens as you tap into this ancestral energy and become more connected with that. There's going to be this flood of information that comes forward. Yeah, they're just showing me it's just channeling. It's like you may just start automatically writing all of this information about your spiritual and soul history. That's pretty powerful. And I think it came up in another one of the readings around Akashic records. So I'm going to say that here as well. There's something here about tapping into the Akashic record, but really what's happening here is that it's like you tap into it and you don't even know that that's what you're tapping into. You just have this flood of information that comes forward. Beautiful, beautiful energy. So there's a couple things that are going to challenge you in the month of June. Some of you are going to have challenges with friendships, and this is going to be around, embracing the people in your life for all that they are and all that they are not. Recognizing that as human beings, we're all limited in our own special way, and we come to the table with those limitations. And so in this for you, there's a challenge of learning to accept people as they are, learning to accept that not all the people and family in your life resonate at the same level that you do. They're not all going to understand the journey that you're on. They're not all going to be supportive when you're triggered. So just recognizing that can be a challenge coming up in the month of June. There's also the challenge of denial. This says, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. Give me a moment to tune into this energy. So there's something in this energy around, there's a resistance. So for some of you, when I use the word denial, or talk about, acknowledging fear and replacing it with insight and awareness, it's like that's not even registering for some of you. You're kind of like, well, what the heck does that mean? And I'm not afraid. And how do I get to insight and awareness? So I don't know. Let's see if Spirit gives me any more information on this. I think it's just, for some of you, this is kind of an opening in the month of June. To begin to be aware that this might be a pattern as well, that sometimes when you're triggered with fear, Again, starting to notice where those triggers might be happening so that you can evolve into gaining insight and awareness, even if you don't have that right now, okay? And then finally, the energy of discipline. Some of you might be feeling a little scattered and all over the place in the month of June. It might be hard for you to focus. It might be hard for you to, keep your word, do the things that you say that you're going to do. And so being mindful about that. And the strength that's supporting you in the month of June is this beautiful energy of wonders. I don't know if you can hear, my cat is trying to break into my reading room. He's scratching at the door. Pardon the noise in the background if you can hear that. So the energy of wonders, this is a strength. This energy is about your spiritual intuition. This is about your spiritual connection with yourself, with others, with the universe. And even if you're not fully conscious of it yet, some of you will be, some of you are just coming into this energy around what that connection means. But there is an underlying support here for you, an underlying safety net, if you will, of spiritual energy that's supporting you through all that you're going through all that you're learning. They also want you to recognize that, how would I describe this? For as many different people there are on the planet, there are journeys. Everybody has a different journey, and even though we might have things in our lives that are similar to other people's journeys, we experience it in a unique way through our own individual consciousness. And so it's a gift. The fact that we each have that unique opportunity to experience the journey of life in our own special way is a gift. So even if that's hard in some ways, or we don't understand it in some ways, they want you to know it's a gift. And so this is a strength, this gift of whatever journey you're on, whatever path you're on, however you're experiencing your life and your growth and your healing, this is a gift. Okay. Beautiful. I love it. So here's your healing stone for the month of June, which is selenite, one of my favorite stones. And this is about spiritual awakening. So here's the selenite right here. So ultimately, even though there's two kind of groups within this particular group that are coming forward, each group is on a spiritual awakening journey. Some of you are at the place where you're going deeper into your spiritual connectivity with your ancestors and that lineage, and others of you are beginning to wake up. And that's part of that process of beginning to identify those patterns and behaviors that you have that keep you from being more aware. And as you begin to heal that, and as you begin to be more aware, you'll be more connected with this energy here, more connected with knowing how spirit supports you. So what a beautiful journey for many of you in June. That's a beautiful journey. And finally, the final guidance from spirit. What is the most limiting belief keeping me from what I want right now? Spirit says, what story are you telling yourself? When you think about your dreams, what is the first limiting thought that comes to your mind? If you are not living the life you desire, it's because a part of you doesn't believe it's possible. Today's soul action, it's time to upgrade. Look your belief in the eye. Where did it come from? What new belief are you ready to adopt in its place? How will this change your results? Remember, your belief is the root of your result. Own it, heal it, upgrade it. Oof, love it. I love it. All right, my friends, thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful month, and until we meet again, blessings to you. Take care.